And get started. First of all, Terence, thank you so much for applying to our institute. And it seems that you're a very busy guy, but that's fine. We like busy people. Being busy is fine.
Honestly, yeah. I've actually had 2 interviews this morning, and then for some reason my alarm didn't go off on my phone
Yeah.
because I have a calendar. And when you called me, I was so shocked because I thought I would have at least gotten like half an hour notice with my phone, but it didn't trigger for some reason. So I'm really sorry about that.
No.
I'm usually very organized and prepared for everything. So
Yeah.
something, yeah.
But I'm glad we're here, and so the reason why I prefer to use Google Meet. Previously, I worked at Google, and then a lot of the meetings were done through this software, and it usually gives you a notification, usually like 30 minutes or an hour before. We usually like kick off like this kind of like an online meetup. So
Oh wow, okay, that's amazing.
yeah. So before I bomber you with a lot of questions, why don't I just take a minute or two to introduce like about this position, about this academy in general, so that you could sort of get the hang of it. So first of all, like our academy is as stated, is called Lingual Language Institute, which is by far one of the largest sort of the language academies in located in Busan, South Korea. This business has been over like 20 years. And we primarily focus on teaching like students ranging from like preschool, middle, elementary to middle school. We used to also teach some high schools, but not anymore. And then for this position, we do have about 250 ish or 260. I don't know. I have to like double check the exact number about that kind of student body size. And then right now we do have about 6 or 8 kind of Korean teachers and 2 or 3 foreign teachers. I think currently there are 2 foreign teachers, 1 male, 1 female, and then most of them like tend to stay like a year or two, mostly 2 years. And then the guy named Darwin is actually like going back to his home country, Vancouver, Canada. So we're trying to find a replacement for this position. And then, like online, we do have a couple of branches in Busan, like in Haeundae area or Summit area or Dongdae. Like we are located kind of near the Summit, which is like geographically, it's sort of the center of the Busan. Okay, and then what else? What else? Oh, yeah. So each branch sort of they pursue different curriculums and different academic kind of goals and objectives. But primarily, like what our academy kind of pursues to teach is like we definitely like emphasize like a lot of reading, writing, or something like that. But we do have a lot of outsourcing like software tools and different like sets of curriculums to teach students. So we actually diversify a lot of these class materials and this dynamics. For example, like we used to teach them TOEFL tests, they kind of like standardize the English test. But recently we focus on teaching like Cambridge tests. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Cambridge tests, not recently. I'm more familiar with like the TOEFL tests and all the other type of tests, the ESL tests and that.
yeah, so our mission statement is we do love and be patient about children, and the love is the first thing. Second is definitely like we do actually recruit a lot of talented teachers, not just by far as by their language talent or teaching talent, but we really like want to like recruit person who really cares about their jobs and communication and interaction with parents and all the students. Because I did interview this position for actually numerous of foreign teachers, ESL teachers, and some of them already got so used to Korean culture they just like lash student out. They just like push them students to pull up some scores.
Yeah.
So probably I'm not saying that maybe like a lot of candidates here are available multi-talented and like super competent in teaching a language or whatnot, but I really like that's not kind of cultural fit for this position. I'm just putting out there. And then, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it.
I think, yeah, empathy is definitely the way to teaching. You've got to be understanding and compassionate of your students' needs. I mean, not only does it help you make better lessons, but it helps you understand your students better, especially when they're not concentrating or they're misbehaving. It's not a result of them just being bad students. It's usually a result of them not being understood or not understanding their work or finding their work too easy. So yeah, I definitely agree with that approach. I feel creating a positive association between the English language and the students is vital. And being aggressive and being scary and not making lessons fun is not constructive to building that. And it definitely goes against this. I mean, I've studied multiple languages. I can speak more than one as well, and I know that the best way to learn is through having fun, and doing, not through being scared to learning something.
Sweet. Yeah, I like to hear that. So yeah, let me quickly pull up your resume. I think I have it over here. And then first of all, like, would you mind like telling just brief about like tell me about yourself, please?
Yeah. So I have lived in Korea for the past 2 years. Prior to that, I was a professional sailor, where I worked in mostly Europe on super yachts, and that's like working for billionaires and all of that. After a while, like it was just grueling, like 17 to 22-hour days, without one day off in 8 months, so working 7 days a week. And after that, I just had burnout, and I just needed to have a bit of a break. And I thought, hey, I love traveling, and I have the opportunity to teach in Korea. Why not? And it's turned out to be an amazing experience. I never realized how fulfilling teaching kids could be. I think I learned a lot more from them than what I teach them. In terms of being present and honest. And that's a gift. Other than that, I'm quite a positive guy. I like to always see the brighter side of things, and I'm a kind of a perfectionist. So when it comes to me doing something, I like to do it 110%. I don't like to do 50%. Like I put 110% of myself into the job. So
Nice. Yeah. So regarding your teaching experiences, would you mind like elaborating more on like what made you first like decide to teach, and maybe regarding your college majors, or was there specific motivations and that kind of thing?
Well, what decided me to teach? Well, I come from a big family, and I've always had lots of little cousins that I used to look after, and siblings, whatever. So I do enjoy really interacting with kids, and I've always been quite energetic, and it just felt right to go teaching. The reason why I didn't use my degree is, I just did it as a safety net. I think a lot of people go to university because they don't really know what they want to do. They do it because people tell them to do it, and that's why I went sailing. I left my degree and became a professional sailor after that, and I guess, teaching just seems to fit perfectly. I like the lifestyle, I like the hours. It just seems the best of both worlds. You get to travel, and you get to enjoy what you do. So that's great for me.
Gotcha. So your nationality is from South Africa, which I assume is your first language is like a British English, and then
yes, it's British English.
And then like do you pick up other languages? You said like just for fun and hobby.
I can speak French, and a little bit of Afrikaans, but I haven't spoken that in a while. But if I put my mind to it, I can learn the language quite easily. I'm about, when I was living in France, I got to about 80% fluent in French, and it's quite a big language. I can get into it if I practice, but that definitely makes me more understanding of how to teach a language. I think not having experience in learning another language is very difficult. Like if you're a teacher trying to teach a language, you need to understand the difficulties associated with learning a new language, and
sure,
what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah, very cool. So, how does your friend usually describe you as a friend and just as a personality?
Well, how do my friends describe me? They would say positive, spontaneous, energetic, I guess, empathetic.
Very good.
I'm not the emotional one, but I'm the one that will always be there to. You can always speak to me. Or, if there's an issue, I won't judge you. I'll always embrace whatever's happening completely. So
cool, sweet. So, what would you say your some primary like teaching core values and
core values. I had touched on it briefly before. Basically, I think empathy is probably the strongest asset to have as a teacher.
Very good. Yep.
Because it's a big scary world out there, and when you're a small child and you're dealing with a foreigner as well, it can be overwhelming. And you don't speak the same language. There's so many barriers to communication and culturally as well. You definitely need to be aware and empathetic of someone's needs, and that understanding reinforces a child's ability to be confident, to learn, to create a positive association with the language. And for me, that's the most important thing. Other teaching strengths, I would say, I'd say that's probably my strongest. Other ones, like I said before, like I like to put 110% of myself into whatever I do. So if I'm doing a lesson plan, I want to do it right. I'm not going to just do half a job, and that really gets on my nerves if I can't do it correctly. Other than that, I'd say that's it, eh?
Cool.
Yeah.
So it seems that you've been a language kind of career for a while, such as like I think in accrual as like 3 years. You taught 1 year in Cheongju, and then the probably
2 years in Cheongju. 2 years.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 2 years, and then also another 2 years in Irish EDU. And is that where you're currently working at, or?
So in total, I have 2 years teaching experience, and so while I was working at Irish EDU, I was volunteering at an orphanage as well. So I don't know. So altogether, it's 2 years cumulatively. So I spent 2 years at Irish EDU. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So is it are you still currently employed, or are you looking for?
No. The contract ended in September. And I decided to take a couple of months off. I needed a bit of a holiday. Like Corona was crazy, and I hadn't had for 2 years being in Korea. I didn't really have a holiday, So I just thought, hey, I just need to relax, enjoy myself a little bit, and see what happens. So
Gotcha. Makes sense. So, what was your previous like teaching environment like? If you don't mind me asking, like, what did you learn from that, and like, what kind of contribution did you kind of put in there, and what kind of contribution could you bring to our academy if you were to get hired?
Well, it was definitely my first teaching post, teaching ESL, and for me, that was probably the most growth that I will have being a teacher. I mean, I learned to be comfortable with my teaching methods. At the same time, I learned to be dynamic and to change with times. Corona definitely threw a couple of spanners in the works there on how you approach teaching, but you can't get too close to kids. You can't have contact. So you have to adapt your teaching styles. It was a very constructive working environment. They definitely worked with me to tailor my lesson plans, to streamline them, to just be more confident in the way I apply my lessons, and I think it was just an incredible experience. Definitely a lot of growth, and definitely laid the foundations for further growth as well. So in terms of what I gave to the school, I guess them signing me for a second-year contract says quite a lot. They were very happy with what I could contribute to the school. They were happy with my progress and the value I added to the company. So the kid, I had a really strong connection with a lot of the kids there as well. So leaving wasn't the easiest.
Gotcha. So, what I'm kind of curious and wondering is, as a ESL teacher, were you given a lot of like assignments or guidelines to teach, and basically there were like less room for you to be creative, or you were just told what they have to kind of tell you to teach, or do you have a lot of autonomy to develop and create?
So we had a lot of room for creativity.
That's great.
There wasn't a lot of like micromanagement, So
okay.
We'd have our course, and we could work around with it. We could have games, activities. Obviously, not go overboard, and just we had targets to be met. We had to complete the book within a certain amount of time, but it wasn't like you have to complete this book in 2 weeks. We had a couple of weeks to complete the book, and it worked really well. So we could always put in a couple of activities, a couple of constructive English games, which worked a lot. It was a really good teaching environment. Allowed for a lot of like experimentation and growth.
All right, very cool. would you mind sharing maybe advantages and disadvantages of your personality? I think you probably mentioned quite a few advantages, but what would you say probably your disadvantages?
It's always hard doing disadvantages. Okay, so I'll give an example. When I first started, remember I told you about being a perfectionist. When I first started, that was a bit of an issue because I, number one, didn't have a lot of experience with how to apply a lesson plan. And I just went overboard. I created way too many activities. I 150%. And what happened was that I had way too many activities for the kids and way too many, and that was actually it was a big disadvantage, because we weren't achieving the set number of pages in the book for a while, and until the director came and spoke to me about it and gave me direction and said, look, this is because the thing is, when I started at the school, unfortunately, they didn't give me a lot of direction as well, so I put everything I could into it, and unfortunately, it went in the direction that the kids, I was creating my own lessons. I was creating my own course book pretty much.
Nice.
Because I put so much effort into it, So I'd say that would definitely be a disadvantage. So if it's a situation where I could definitely overwork myself. That could definitely be a situation. And I was doing it. I think I was nearing burnout the first 3 months of the job because I was taking work home to make activities, working an extra 3 hours a day at home just to, and yeah, that was definitely a big disadvantage for me as a teacher. And yeah, I'd say yeah, that's probably the biggest problem I have. I mean, I have worked on it, and it seems, and I don't think it's that much of a problem anymore. But that was probably the biggest problem I had at the school for the first couple of months. But that's not a problem anymore.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I get your point. So in terms of like the students' age, like what year, like how old were they, like when you taught them? Have you ever like experience of teaching preschool, elementary, middle school, or primary?
Oh, yeah. From kindergarten all the way up to middle school. So It was everything. Yeah, I mean, so I would teach basic phonics all the way up to debate club, depending on their level.
Have you taught any debate club?
Yeah, lots. Like, yeah, it was one of my primary teaching lessons. So we had a really good course book. I think it was called Debate Pro Junior. It was like that amazing book to introduce kids to debates. But we also would cover NIE articles, and I'd often, for the younger students especially, and I mean, that would be a process of introducing them to writing and debating or critical thinking. And that was quite an effort because you'd have to tailor your article to each class, and then you'd have to develop your lesson. So whether it's comprehension activities to get them to understand it, and then get them to write out full sentences of what their critical thinking is. I mean, that was definitely a big challenge and a learning process. But after a year of doing those mini debates with my classes, I definitely learned a lot.
Yeah, very cool. Because actually, me and my other kind of core teachers I've been with this academy for the last 10 years. I actually grew up in Busan. I went to this academy, and then I got a very good grade. Fortunately, I went to a very good university in America, and I graduated. I still kind of serve. I'm kind of working as a recruiter right now. I used to be a teacher and manager over there at the same time. So, as a person like who kind of developed a lot of debate courses, like we find it very objective. Like if the candidates have any experience of the debate course, because of course, usually there are a lot of things on every teacher's plate, but mostly what we expect from these all native teachers, like we really want them to like be energetic, not as a temporary, but everyone could be energetic for a short time, but I want them to be more consistent. I don't want you to just give out 100% energy, because we also know that the native teachers are also humans. We don't want them to burn out and teaching them for less than 3 months and I'm done. Teacher, why are you so blue? I've already spent all my energy. So we want somebody who is relatively stable, relatively consistently enthusiastic. But we of course there's a lot of, because reading and writing and whatnot other Korean teachers can cover, but mostly speaking and writing, this type of most of output kind of section or sector of this language, we want want them to be covered by a lot of the kind of energetic native teachers. That's why I was asking. Yeah, this kind of the experience like looks very like outstanding and noticeable. And then my follow-up question is like, what life ethic or life values kind of do you pursue as a person? You know.
Pardon, I didn't get that last part. You broke up there for a second.
Like what life ethic or life values like do you pursue in your do you prioritize in your life just as a person apart from any teaching or like what your life vision? Yeah.
I believe in the power of intention. So I mean, often we react or respond to things or take things personally without actually truly understanding why something is happening. And a lot of the time, it's all about the power of intention. You can have the best intentions. Sometimes things don't work, and people need to understand that. That applies to everyone. Someone may be angry. You don't know why. I mean, there's something much deeper than that. So I definitely try to work through that. I believe in like a lot of compassion is needed in this world, and understanding. I don't think there's enough of it, and I think that definitely starts with yourself. Like you definitely got to be understanding and compassionate of yourself and not reactive to your own emotions, because once you do that, once you accept yourself, you can definitely accept others, and I think that's a big part of teaching as well. Yeah, I definitely strive to that. I strive to cause as little harm as possible. I do follow a lot of like Zen Buddhism and meditation and yoga and all that, and I feel I try not to cause as much pain or suffering or harm as possible. I try to. I mean, I think that creates a positive environment. For me anyway. So that's what I said. That's what I aim to pursue, and that's what I'm trying to accept and work with.
Gotcha. Would you mind sharing probably one of the most incredible / and then another is like most awful kind of teaching experience or classrooms that you can remember, and how you kind of like work your way up to like make it better? Just it could be any example, but based on your experience.
Oh man, the toughest. I was blessed with a really good school, but we always did get really difficult students. There was maybe one or two students that were just really difficult to deal with. I remember I actually got stabbed in the eye by one of the kids. I'm lucky I didn't lose my eye. Like this. And I was always trying to understand the kid, and it got to a point where it had nothing to do with the school. He was a preschooler, so it had nothing to do with the school and nothing to do with the work. It had very much to do with his home life, and I mean, he didn't want to be there, and it got to the point where I couldn't help him anymore, and after instead of like me escalating it with him and getting angry with him, I realized that the best way to do it was to get a director to come in and resolve the issue, someone to speak to him in Korean to help him understand the issue and to get to the core of the problem.
Yeah.
Because that's what I usually find. Usually when there's a situation that can't be resolved through being understanding in that, it's often because of a language barrier, and you need to bring in someone who can speak Korean, or like a director or someone just to resolve the issue, to speak to the child separately, and that often helps the problem out, I mean, so I'd say like those have probably been the most unpleasant or most challenging experiences with kids at school. The ones that can't be helped with the coursework that's being presented, because they actually don't want to be there. There's nothing to do with the coursework. It's nothing to do with understanding the coursework or finding it too easy or finding it too difficult. It's because they just don't want to be there. And that is often resolved through bringing in someone else, just to understand the situation. The best experiences, the best is just the majority of it. Like having a good lesson with your class, connecting with your class, them always giving you presents, smiling, laughing, like that's probably the best, like and seeing because I stayed at my one school for 2 years, you could see the progress of your students, especially the long-term ones, and I saw them from small growing up, and then their progression within those 2 years was phenomenal for a lot of them, and the cumulative effort of that is amazing to see the end results when you leave. And that is definitely one of the best experiences.
All right, sweet. Very cool. My last question for today, Trent, is actually like three whys, which are very commonly like FAQs for a lot of companies or institutes. Like first why is like why you, Trent, for this position among a lot of candidates. Second, why us among a lot of institutes and academies in Korea. And why this position as an ESL and native teacher. It's like you could just work your weight thought up and you can organize and you can just tell me what it is. Yeah.
So why me? Well, I guess I've explained a lot of it already. I guess if you're looking for someone who is going to try and understand their students and try and be compassionate to their students' needs and tailor your lessons for your students, then I'm probably the guy to go for, because I'm not going to be the type of teacher who's going to scare kids into learning. I'm not going to be the aggressive teacher. I'm going to be the teacher who's going to be the teacher that is going to listen. I think listening is essential when you're a teacher. Even not even listening through words sometimes, just listening and watching. And that is I think why you should consider me. I'm definitely positive and understanding. Why this position? Well, just based on this interview alone, I definitely like how professional it has been, and you've asked questions that haven't been asked in any other academy yet. And that for me is definitely eye-opening. It just shows how seriously you take hiring your teachers, and I mean what it takes to become a teacher at your school. And I think that for me is really impressive. I do like that. Other than that, I definitely like the fact that you're in Busan, because I've been looking to find a coastal city for a long time. I live in the mountains here in Chunju, but I've definitely missed the sea and the ocean. So I definitely need that, want that change. And what was the third question? The third question was
why this position? Among among a lot of other jobs or positions available in Korea, like why this?
And to build on that, a lot of the schools, so a lot of the schools that are advertising positions, they unfortunately in Korea, there's a lot of toxicity within the school working environments. And I mean, you can tell a lot by an interview, and the way you've upheld the interview, how professional it seems. It seems like if there's going to be a problem, there's going to be open communication regarding an issue, and it's going to be constructive in a sense. I mean, I've had friends who've experienced these things where, I mean, you aren't paid as a teacher, or you're given a warning for no reason because the director's having a bad day. It kind of makes it difficult teaching in Korea when it comes to that sometimes. You want a company that can remove itself from making it personal and keeping it professional. I think that's essential for me. I definitely want professional environments, and this is definitely standing out for me. It definitely, if not the only Hagwon that's super professional like this. Is there any other question that I'm missing out on?
I think you've answered everything pretty great. So I think I'm done from my end. Do you happen to have any questions from your end, Terrence?
Yeah, I have a couple. So just to understand a little bit of the working day, what would that involve? How would the average working day at
Sure. So this is definitely a Monday to Friday work, and kind of fixed hours are from 1 p.m. to 9:10, but the real class starts from 2:20. So most usually native teacher, they come in either from sometime in between 1 to 1:30. I mean, we don't mandate them, the longer the better from our side, or it depends on your passion and your professionalism. You could come by 2:15 and it's just prepare class for 5 minutes, but no stupid any other. I've never seen any teacher doing it. But so your true working hours from 2:20 to 9:10. If your last class ends at 9:10, depending on your schedule. So every day we have about 8 classes as a full assigned. If you timed at 5, you may have 40 classes, but none of these teachers teach 40 classes. On average, they teach from 35 to 37 classes. So out of 5 days, you may have 3 to 5 empty classes,
Okay.
depending on your semester schedules. And then each class lasts for 45 minutes.
Okay.
5-minute break, and there's like 20-minute winter break in between. And then if you have an empty class, you can utilize for your winter break or time to develop, time to take rest. Usually, most teachers utilize that way. Since you all are native teachers, we don't assign you guys any like consulting time of like obligations to call Korean students and you report the problems. Usually, that's on the Korean teacher's plate. What else? Yeah, we used to before the COVID, before a couple of years ago, like Korean teachers only come on sometimes second or fourth of like Saturday, but like we can't go back before COVID, so like every teacher just come in from like Monday to Friday. That's it, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's amazing. And let's see. Yeah, I think honestly, like you've answered a lot of questions through the interview as well, which has been amazing. Probably the one thing I'd be interested in is why are you looking for a new teacher? What happened to the previous teacher?
So yeah, this could be kind of his personal. I don't know if I'm allowed to disclose it or not, but I mean it's like I'll just disclose it because he had a Korean wife that he used to live in Busan, and then his Korean wife, they actually both met in Vancouver. And his Korean wife, she got a CPA, so. Actually, I was pretty close to him, and then like his name is Darwin, and I think he's originally from Canada, right? Yeah, he is. So his original purpose was to immigrate to Japan after a couple of teaching experience in Korea, but now that like his wife got a CPA, they want to like settle down in Vancouver altogether, and they've like worked here for 2 years, and that's why actually like he's going back with his wife.
That's beautiful. Oh, happy ending for him. That's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, and with regards to lessons, what's your I'd like to find your view on when approaching lessons. You know, like the ESL way or the TEFL way of how you do it is like you elicit language, and the process of eliciting language is usually through games. You know, like you play game. It's not games, but it's teaching language through activity. You know, so
yeah.
Like you can teach the words, and whoever raises their hand up gets the word or the phrase right, they get to throw a ball or catch a ball or something small like that. What's your viewpoints on like using activities in lessons?
So personally, yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I mean, because I'm not talking about like the entire lesson. Maybe 5 to 10 minutes of the lesson, which actually focuses around the topic being taught. So it's not separate at all from what's being taught. It's the same thing, but just in the form of a small activity to teach the words or the phrases, especially with the younger classes.
Yeah, I completely get that. When I taught them, because I play a lot of guitars and music, so I like usually sang, dance, play guitars, and I usually as ice breaking, I taught them a lot of expressions and taught them chants. But the point is, currently I'm not a project manager. There's another project manager, and then depending on so you could literally like play it by year, like by classes, and. Our director really appreciate that, and we really want to find a teacher who has that kind of much of talent. But the project manager, I mean, they have sort of different view, but that doesn't mean that they don't get along with one another. You know, they still get along. But director wants to kind of lead this academy more dynamic, energetic, versus project manager, she wants to lead this class more of education, academic, test focus. So as long as you're balanced, as long as you can get your materials done within 45 minutes, that should be your priority.
Yeah.
And as long as whatever defective efficiency rate that you put in, we are more than happy and welcome to bring that kind of change into our community. Definitely, you know.
Okay, that's perfect because I find it most effective because my lessons are 45 minutes as well, and I find it the most effective, especially with elementary. It would work wonders, like to not break the lesson up, but to make the lessons more fun.
Yeah.
You know, they would understand the work 100 times better if they had fun learning the phrases, and I find that seriously effective. For the older classes, not so much. You don't need to play games. You know, it's just, it is what it is. But the younger classes is definitely, I find, definitely making it more fun definitely works.
I see. Sure. Yeah, I like your question. You're the first person who actually bring this up. Looks very positive. It's good. Um, anything else? Where are you located at, Terrence? Actually, right now, are you in Seoul? Are you in Cheongju? Are you in Busan?
I'm in
Or
Chunju. I'm in Chunju at the moment. So
ah,
I'm back in my apartment in Chunju.
okay.
Just here because I'm looking for work now, so I'm not traveling anymore. So yeah, just looking. Yeah, so I'm just taking it easy, enjoying the mountains a little bit. So
Gotcha. And then just letting you know, like this start is like something early March. So I'm just wondering if you are
yeah,
aware of this.
that was for me. So I was definitely looking for something late February, early March.
And then if you were to get hired, like we usually have teacher call a little bit like a week or 10 days earlier to like shadow what the previous teachers do because each course materials are very different. You have to kind of okay, like first it does not have anything to do with how great you person or how smart you are, how well prepared you are, because like there are sort of all different guidelines and materials that you need to prepare for each class. There are some cooking class, making class, pop song teachings, and there are a lot of softwares you probably need to learn how to mingle with them. And there's like printing some materials and then storybook reading. So that's why we usually like bring like successor teachers to kind of cover them little at least 10 or 15 days somewhat in, and then so that you guys can like go through like a week or two together and you get the sort of the grip of okay, this is how I'm gonna teach after he or she leaves, you know.
Yeah.
uh,
That sounds great. I actually like the fact that you can shadow. Like, I think that's so important. Orientation is, especially when a smooth transition between you and old teachers. You know, I mean, it's amazing. I always ask for orientation. You know, so
yeah.
that's perfect. That's great.
Yeah. Oh, my question is, do you happen to have any like stellar expectation based on your current
So my last pay salary was 2-3,
okay.
and that was before and now I have 2 years experience. So my expectation would be to get a little bit more than that.
Okay.
You know, I'm not entirely sure what level that will be. Obviously, we've got to work together with the school. But yeah, let's just see what.
All right. Thanks for letting me know. I definitely take that in call. We usually start base salary 2.2 or 2.3, but since your experience, we'll definitely take that into considerations when we do some salary negotiation. I'm gonna report this number figures to the director. Um,
Okay.
so there, I'm gonna like actually I have to like send this all this report to director, and if he like likes who you are as a person and these results, like there might be a chance that he wants to see you in person, and then
Oh yes.
would you
Okay.
be able to like travel to Busan and then maybe I don't know what kind of questions he's gonna ask, but there
Yeah.
might be a high chance that yeah.
I could definitely do that. I actually, it's funny because I had an interview earlier today, and they want me to fly to Jeju to do the same thing. So I can definitely like do that, put the two together at the same time frame, so I can give you guys both an answer as opposed to leaning one on or the other. You know, if that's okay.
I see, I
So
see.
yeah, we can definitely do that. We can definitely do that. I'd love to. I'd love to come in and meet once I get an answer from you guys and see how that works. Very much open to that.
Yeah, most of the times like he may ask you probably like show some maybe short quick demo class, and then maybe there could be some other teachers looking. It's gonna be like maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm just
Yeah,
letting you know in
that should be okay.
advance.
Yeah, that should be fun.
So what would be the best way me to like contact you after we sort of hang up this meeting? Would you prefer email, text, or
Email is probably best. Email is probably best. Um, yeah, that's probably the most reliable because I mean I've got so many recruiters on my phone messaging me.
okay?
um, Email will just cut through it. You know, like I'll definitely be able to pick it up straight away.
I see, I see. All right, fair enough. Do you have any more questions, Terrence?
Yes. Well, depending on how things go with the boss, would it be possible to speak to one of the current teachers?
For sure.
It's just something I do because I mean I actually I've had 1 or 2 interviews and found out that the job wasn't too great because I didn't speak to the current teachers or
Amazing.
so
Yep.
yeah, this is something I do just to make 100% sure. You know,
I get your point. I'll drop probably Darwin's number, or if you're in Kakao, I can drop you his Kakao. Either one.
yeah, whatever's easiest for you. Kakao's probably the best. I can just give him a call and message, and then yeah, I can speak to him.
Sweet, sweet. Yeah. I'll make a note here for the reference to the previous. All right. Fair enough. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think I've seemed to have found everything out, and it's been a great interview. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Likewise, Terrence. Likewise. I'm glad that we knocked it off, and I'm just glad that you're here. And it was an amazing interview. And I'll get back to you somewhat no later by end of this week or earlier next week.
No worries. That's perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And, have a lovely day.
You too, Terrence. You take care. Bye bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.